This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah. So Jatin, why only 12 students have joined? It's already 2:08.
Yes, ma'am.
Say out of 50 minutes class, I'll be waiting for students to join for the class 10 minutes. So we'll be losing the 10 minutes also. Where are your friends? So last class, we finished protein synthesis inhibitor antibiotics. So all the category of antibiotic we studied, their mechanism of action, their antibacterial spectrum on which organism these antibiotics act, and their therapeutic uses, in which condition these antibiotics can be used, what are their pharmacokinetics, all those we studied. So here, basically, this cell wall inhibitor is the previous chapter of the protein synthesis inhibitor. Since it is like a lot of students they missed out, I'm just taking again. It is like I'm just slowly explaining. If you have any doubts, please feel free and ask me question. So this is after the introductory part of the antibiotics. You already understood what are antibiotics and they act on the microorganism. So the main and the first category of antibiotics are cell wall inhibitors. So we understand cell wall inhibitors. So basically, if you see some antimicrobial agents, so they inhibit the synthesis of the bacterial cell wall. A lot of bacteria, apart from the plasma membrane, they do also have a cell wall, so which is actually a protective layer for this bacteria. And these cell wall inhibitors act on this synthesis of this bacterial cell wall. So because of that, there is no proper cell wall formation in these microbes, and then they undergo death. So basically, this type of a cell, Jatin, your audio, you can actually mute it. And this type of a cell wall is absent in all the mammalian, including human beings. So what is the cell wall of this bacteria made of? What is chemically? So basically, if you see, the cell wall is composed of a polymer. What is polymer? What is polymer?
Ma'am, group of monomers.
Yeah. So it is a number of units of a some particular compound is called as a polymer. So here if you see the cell wall, this cell wall is basically composed of a polymer called peptidoglycan. So this peptidoglycan is the basic composite of this cell wall, and this peptidoglycan consists of a glycan, and they unite to each other by the peptide cross-link. So like how the amino acids are there in the proteins. So even in the proteins, the amino acids are linked by the peptide bond, that is CONH2 group. So here also these glycan units. So glycan are basically they are the monomers. So like this, so many glycans, they bind each together by the peptide bond, and then they form the polymers. So the inhibitor of this cell wall synthesis required actively proliferating microorganisms. So already, if already cell wall is synthesized, then the cell wall synthesis inhibitor cannot act. Since it is only inhibiting the synthesis of cell wall, so those microorganisms which are multiplying, which are proliferating, which are undergoing the cell division and making a new cell wall, these antibiotics can act and they block the synthesis, thereby the bacteria can undergo death. But they have very little or no effect on the bacteria that are not growing or dividing. So if already bacteria is grown up, already cell wall is synthesized, then during that condition, if you give an antibiotic, it will not show. Or if the microorganisms are not dividing, they are not undergoing any cell division, even during that condition also, this cell wall synthesis inhibitor does not show any antimicrobial activity. So the first, the most important cell wall synthesis inhibitor and the most important antibiotic, if you see, is the penicillin. So penicillin, there are series of penicillins are available. So this is the first antibiotic which is identified and used for the therapeutic application. So this is the penicillin are the most widely effective and also very important is they are least toxic drugs. Compared to any other antibiotic, penicillin shows a less side effect or the toxic effect, but they are very effective. But a problem with the penicillin treatment is they have an increased resistance. So the resistance develops easily to the penicillin. Because of that, their use has been reduced nowadays. So if you see as I already told you, penicillin has a huge number of antibiotics. They have a different penicillin derivatives. So members of this family differ from one another in the R substance. So if you see, this is a basic structure of penicillins. So it contains basically 6 amino penicillinic acid. So this is totally a 6 amino penicillinic acid. And if you see here, this is the R. R is a group which is attached to this 6 amino penicillinic acid group. So depending on what is this group, this determines the activity or the antimicrobial profile of this antibiotic. So basically, this is very important. Why? Because this R group determines the enzymatic or the acid hydrolysis and affect its antibacterial spectrum. And this, whatever the 4-member structure you are seeing, so this is called as a beta-lactam ring. So here, the beta-lactam ring is very important because a lot of bacteria, they produces the enzyme called penicillinase. This will break down this beta-lactam ring, thereby the antibiotic will not be useful. So depending on the R substance which is attached to the 6 amino penicillinic acid residue, they have a different actions. And the nature of the side chain affect the antimicrobial spectrum. So depending on what is that R, is it a methyl, is it a ethyl, is it a benzyl? So many different substances you can attach to this ring, and depending on that, you will get the different antibiotics. So what are those which is affected by this side chain? It is antibacterial spectrum. So the organism which are susceptible to this particular antibiotic may change. Then stability to the stomach acid. So all this antibiotic can undergo acid hydrolysis at a lower pH. So depending on the R, it may become stable in the stomach acid. Or cross sensitivity. So any hypersensitivity reactions to this particular antibiotic can also change depending on what is R, and also depending on the resistance. So this antibiotic can become susceptible or resistant to the enzyme which degrades the beta-lactam ring which is present in the penicillin basic ring. So this ring. So this R determines everything. So R determines the antibacterial spectrum. It determines how much these antibiotics are stable in the stomach pH, or it also determines the resistance to the beta lactamase degradation. So now we'll understand what is the mechanism of action of all this penicillin. So basically, if you see, all these penicillins interfere with the last step of the bacterial cell wall synthesis. So only at the last stage. So what is that last stage? So basically, the last stage of the cell wall synthesis is called as transpeptidation or cross-linking. So this penicillin interferes with the transpeptidation or the cross-linkage in the bacterial cell wall synthesis. So because of that, it results in the exposure to the osmotically less stable membrane. Meaning is that now the membrane, the plasma membrane, is not protected by the cell wall. So hence, any can enter inside the cell. So they are now more permeable and osmotically less stable. So since because of that, the solution can enter, the water can enter. So cell lysis can then occur either through osmotic pressure or through the activation of the autolysins. So autolysins are the ones which are present in the cell wall of the bacteria. So whenever there is a damage to the cell wall, these autolysins will be released and they lysis. Lysis means they break down the cell wall, or it may be because of the entry of any water or electrolyte inside the bacteria, which creates the osmotic pressure. So because of both the mechanism, the bacteria will undergo death. And these penicillins are, because they're killing the bacteria, they are bactericide. So please understand the mechanism. The penicillin interferes the last step of the cell wall synthesis in the bacteria. So that last step is called as transpeptidation or the cross-linkage. And the most important part is, as I already told you, they are effective only against a rapidly growing organism that synthesize a peptidoglycan cell wall. So the bacteria should be in an active state, active division state. So hence they are inactive against organism devoid of this structure. So whatever the microorganism which does not have the cell wall, so on those microorganisms the penicillin cannot act. What are those organisms? They are mycobacteria, protozoa, fungi, and viruses. So the penicillins are not active against the mycobacteria, protozoa, fungi, and viruses because these microorganisms lack cell wall. So this is how the cell wall synthesis, the last stage, happens. So peptidoglycan site so they undergo the cross linkage. So it will be like this is how the cross linking happens in the cell. So this is the outer surface. This is the cytoplasm. So this is the cross linking happens as the first synthesis of the peptidoglycan synthesis. So this cross linking of this peptidoglycan will be inhibited by the penicillin. And this penicillin inhibits the cell wall synthesis by binding to the penicillin binding protein. So these cell walls have a specific binding site. Basically, it's like a receptor. You already studied a different receptor. So here these are nothing but they are the receptor where the penicillin goes and binds. So these penicillin inactivate numerous proteins on the bacterial cell membrane. So these penicillin binding proteins are bacterial enzymes. They are involved in the synthesis of the cell wall. So basically what this penicillin does is they bind to these penicillin binding proteins, which are nothing but the bacterial enzymes which are involved in the cell wall synthesis. So once these bacterial enzymes are blocked or inhibited by this penicillin, Hence, the cell wall will not be synthesized because the enzyme is not available and in the maintenance of the morphological features of the bacteria. So hence, the cell wall is not synthesized properly, hence no, the morphology or the total integrity of the bacteria cell is not maintained. So hence, whenever these microorganisms are exposure to these antibiotics, they therefore not only prevent cell wall synthesis, but also lead to the morphological changes at the lysis of the susceptible bacteria. So meaning is that since they are inhibiting the cell wall synthesis, if the cell wall is not there, their structure, the morphological structure has been changed, and also cell wall is always used to protect the microorganism from the other external activity. So if the cell wall is not there, it can undergo lysis because of the osmotic pressure or because of the autolysis activity. Then they also inhibit the transpeptidase. So some of these peptidoglycans catalyze the formation of the cross linkages between the peptidoglycan chains, especially these penicillin binding protein. They are involved in the cross linkage. Cross linkage, as I already showed you, how they will attach each glycan moiety and then they will form the peptide bond. So during this, if these penicillin, they inhibit this transpeptidase activity, catalyze reaction. So thereby, the cross-linking of a peptidoglycan will be inhibited, and which is necessary for the normal cell wall synthesis. So one is it binds to the penicillin binding protein. So thereby, whatever its enzymatic activity will not be there, but also it inhibits its activity as a transpeptide. That is, cross-linking of the peptidoglycan will be inhibited, and hence the normal cell wall synthesis will not be there. So this is about the mechanism of action of this penicillin. So almost all the penicillin, this is the mechanism. If any changes are there, this will be respect to their antimicrobial activity, or it may be related to their the pharmacokinetics. Now we'll understand the antibacterial spectrum of this penicillin. The antimicrobial spectrum of various penicillin is determined in part by their ability to cross the bacterial peptidoglycan cell wall to reach the penicillin binding protein in the periplasmic space. So meaning is that which antibiotic can cross the bacterial peptidoglycan cell wall and can reach the penicillin binding protein, and only that type of antibiotic will have a greater efficacy. So the more it can go and bind to the penicillin binding protein, the more its antimicrobial activity. So this penetration of this antibiotic to the PBS play a major role. So what are those factors which determine the susceptibility of this penicillin binding proteins to this antibiotic? Basically, it includes the size, the charge, and the hydrophobicity of the particular beta-lactam antibiotic. So as already I mentioned you, the R, the side chain of the beta-lactam antibiotic determines how much it can enter the cell wall and can interact with the penicillin binding protein. So if the size of the side chain, if it is more, means more in the sense the molecular weight. Is it a bigger molecular weight substance or it is a smaller one? Or what type of a charge it has? Is it having a positively charged or it is having a negatively charged? Or hydrophobicity. Phobicity is hating. So they are water liking substance, means they are highly polar in nature, or they are highly non-polar in nature. So all these three factors determine how much these beta-lactam antibiotic can enter the cell wall, bind to the penicillin binding protein, then show the bactericidal effect. So in this, we have different categories of a penicillin. So first, I'll start with the natural penicillin. So natural penicillins is nothing but the penicillin which are originated or the source is from the natural source. So basically these penicillins, which include those classified as anti-staphylococcus, they're obtained from the fermentation of the mold called Penicillium chrysogenum. So the Penicillium chrysogenum is a mold which actually produces this antibiotic. Other penicillins such as ampicillin, which is basically a semi-synthetic. So we'll have a basic structure and they will attach the group, that is, they are called the semi-synthetic antibiotic. So it is a semi-synthetic antibiotic, the ampicillin, because the different R groups are attached to the chemically to the 6-amino penicillinic acid nucleus. This 6-amino penicillinic acid is basically obtained from the fermentation broth of the Penicillium chrysogenum. So first they will get this 6-amino penicillinic acid from this Penicillium chrysogenum. Then they will subject this ring to the different chemical reaction and they will attach a different R group side chain. So thereby they will get a different antibiotic like ampicillin, amoxicillin, all those things. And these natural penicillins are susceptible to the inactivation by the beta-lactamases. So the beta-lactamases is the enzyme which is synthesized or secreted by the bacteria, which act on this beta-lactam ring. So thereby the beta-lactam ring will be destroyed and the antibiotic will not show its effect. So almost all the natural penicillins are susceptible or to the inactivation by the enzyme beta-lactamases, and this is also called as penicillinases. So both are same. So don't be confused in the exam if they write penicillinase inhibitor or beta-lactamase inhibitor, both are same. Then apart from the natural penicillins, we do have anti-staphylococcal penicillin. Basically, these are targeted towards the staphylococcal organism. In this category, we have methicillin, nafcillin, oxacillin, and dicloxacillin. So these methicillin, nafcillin, oxacillin, and the dicloxacillin are basically a penicillinase resistant penicillin. Means even though the penicillinase enzyme is secreted by these microorganisms, these antibiotics are resistant to that. So the penicillinase cannot break down the beta-lactam ring in this antibiotic. So thereby they can show the effect on those organisms which have the capability to produce these beta-lactamase enzymes. So hence their use is restricted only in the treatment which is the infection caused by the penicillin producing staphylococci, which includes the MSSA, that is methicillin sensitive Staphylococcus aureus. So whenever the organism which are sensitive to this only can be treated with these 4 antibiotics. So the not for other infections. Then we have extended spectrum penicillin. Extended spectrum means it has a longer duration of action. Longer duration of action in the sense its degradation can be reduced. So we have ampicillin and the amoxicillin, which has antibacterial spectrum, which is almost similar to the penicillin G, but that is the original or the natural penicillin, but are also effective against gram-negative bacilli. So the penicillin G active only against gram-positive bacteria, whereas ampicillin and amoxicillin, they can also act on the gram-negative bacteria. So hence, since they are acting on the gram-negative bacteria, they are called as the extended spectrum penicillin. So we see in this extended spectrum antibiotic or the penicillin, the first one is the ampicillin and second one is the amoxicillin. So ampicillin is the drug of choice for the gram-positive bacillus, especially the Listeria monocytogenes, and it also effective against some susceptible enterococcal species. So basically, only when there is infection is the Listeria monocytogenes and the susceptible enterococcal infection, the ampicillin can be used. These, especially the both ampicillin and the amoxicillin, can be used in order to treat the respiratory infections. So this respiratory infection, both the upper respiratory infection and also the lower respiratory infection, can be treated with this extended spectrum penicillins. And if you see amoxicillin can be used prophylactically by the dentist. Prophylactic means in order to protect, especially when the patients are having some abnormal heart walls for undergoing extensive oral surgery. Means any, it may be root canal treatment or any dental procedure if they're undergoing, and if that person is having any issues with the heart walls, so then they will be susceptible for this infection. So during that condition, so the dentist give amoxicillin before the surgery so that these people cannot be infected with the bacteria which attack directly to the heart walls. And the resistance is a major issue with these extended spectrum antibiotics. Why it is means because of the inactivation of this ampicillin and amoxicillin by the plasmid mediated penicillinases. So the beta lactamase enzyme will be produced by the plasmid mechanism, and these penicillinase enzyme degrades this ampicillin and amoxicillin. Hence, this cannot show the antimicrobial activity. So, but if you combine these extended spectrum penicillin along with the other category of drug called beta lactamase inhibitor. So they have synthesized new chemicals of the antibiotics. They are called as the beta lactamase inhibitor. So basically they don't act on the microorganism, but they actually degrade or they inhibit the enzyme beta lactamase. So if you combine extended spectrum penicillin along with the beta lactamase inhibitor, so which are those beta lactamase inhibitors? So we have clavulanic acid and also the sulbactam. So when you combine this clavulanic acid or sulbactam, then this can protect both amoxicillin or ampicillin respectively. So usually amoxicillin will be combined with the clavulanic acid and ampicillin will be combined with the sulbactam. So because of that, these beta lactamase inhibitor, they protect the ampicillin and amoxicillin from the degradation. So hence, if they are inhibited by the degradation, their antimicrobial activity will be enhanced. Then we have anti-pseudomonal penicillin. So basically, they act on the Pseudomonas aeruginosa enzymes, microorganisms. So in this category, we have carbapenicillin, piperacillin, and piperacillin. So these three antibiotics are called as anti-pseudomonal penicillin because they basically target on the Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and any infection with this P. aeruginosa can be treated with this carbapenicillin, piperacillin, and the piperacillin. So if you see out of these three drugs, piperacillin is the really most potent antibiotic. It also active against the gram-negative bacilli, but it cannot be used against Klebsiella infection. Then lastly, we can go for combination of two different categories of antibiotics. So when I actually explaining the aminoglycoside, I mentioned this. So we can combine the penicillin and the aminoglycoside. So the combination of this penicillin and the aminoglycoside, it shows the synergistic effect. So the synergistic effect meaning is that since penicillin inhibits the cell wall synthesis, thereby the permeability of these bacterial cells will be changed. So once the permeability changes, these aminoglycoside can enter into these microorganisms and thereby they can inhibit the protein synthesis in the bacteria. So the antibacterial effect of these all beta-lactam antibiotics are synergistic with the aminoglycoside. So the effect will be really huge. So these cell wall synthesis inhibitor alters the permeability of bacterial cells. They enhances the entry of these aminoglycosides. So hence there is a really a good antimicrobial activity you can see when you combine the penicillin and the aminoglycosides. So next is the most important part of any antibiotic treatment is the resistance. So with the penicillin also they are develop or they undergo the resistance to different microorganisms. So in this resistance, you can expect a natural resistance as such, or it may be acquired resistance. So what is that natural resistance? So natural resistance to the penicillin occurs in these organisms that either lack a peptidoglycan cell wall. So the microorganism which don't have the cell wall with the peptidoglycan will be always resistant to the penicillin. So example, the mycoplasms, or they have a cell wall that are impermeable to the drugs. So even though the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan, if they don't allow these antibiotics to enter inside, so these penicillin cannot enter inside and they cannot bind to the penicillin binding protein. So hence, so the natural resistance to these antibiotics occurs. Then apart from the natural resistance, we do also have acquired resistance. Acquired resistance means after the treatment or during the treatment, after the this one, the patient or the person who has taken, they acquires the resistance. So basically this acquired resistance to this penicillin happens because of the plasmid transfer, that is beta lactamase inhibition, all those things, it is a acquired resistance. Since this acquired resistance is a huge problem, it will show a very significant effect on the clinical uses of these antibiotics. So unnecessary use of antibiotics even for the small infection on a long term it can lead to the resistance. So people will not be responding. So hence we have to try to reduce the antibiotic use for a smaller type of the infection. So these antibiotics should be kept for the severe or the chronic infections where they will show the beneficial effect. Then what mechanism the resistance or the acquired resistance developed to the penicillins? So first is the beta lactamase activity. So this is the family of enzymes which hydrolyzes the cyclic amide bond of the beta lactam ring. So basically this beta lactamase enzyme which break down the beta lactam ring which is present in the 6-aminopenicillinic acid. So once this beta lactam ring goes, which leads to the loss of bactericidal activity. Then second one is beta lactamase activity. The second one is the decreased permeability of the drug. So the drug cannot enter the microorganism. This is because of the decreased penetration of the antibiotic through the outer cell membrane of the bacteria. So once there is no entry of this, it cannot bind to the penicillin binding proteins. And also sometimes what happens, these cell walls also have a efflux pump, which we studied already in the protein synthesis antibiotics. So these efflux pump, they throw this antibiotic outside. Hence, the antibiotic cannot accumulate inside the microbacteria to show its effect. Then sometimes there will be a altered penicillin binding proteins. So what happens is sometimes the structure of this penicillin binding protein can change. So because of that, there will be a modified penicillin binding proteins will be produced. So this modification, because of that modification, now these beta lactam antibiotics have a lower affinity for these PBCs. Since they cannot go and bind to these PBC, and then they cannot inhibit the cross linkage of the peptidoglycan. So hence, if there is altered penicillin binding proteins, so we will not get a sufficient concentration of this antibiotic inside the body, which is necessary to show its effect. So this explains the methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus resistant, which is usually for all these commercially available beta lactam antibiotics. So a lot of Staphylococcus aureus, they undergone the modified penicillin binding protein structure. Because of that, they are not susceptible to these antibiotics. So now we'll understand what are the pharmacokinetic of this penicillins. So first we'll understand what is how to give these antibiotics. The route of administration of these beta-lactam antibiotic is always determined by its stability of the drug in the gastric acid and by the severity of the infection. So depending on how much they are stable in this gastric low pH or acidic pH, or what is the severity of the infection. So depending on that, we can decide which route of administration will be best for those persons. So if you see ticarcillin, piperacillin, and the combination of this ampicillin with sulbactam, ticarcillin with the clavulanic acid, and the piperacillin with the tazobactam, these should be administered through intravenous route or intramuscular route. Basic reason is these antibiotics are not stable in the gastric pH, so they'll be undergoes hydrolysis. Hence, in order to protect these antibiotics or the combination with the beta lactamase inhibitor should be given through the intravenous route or the intramuscular route in order to protect these antibiotics and get the antimicrobial activity. Then if you see penicillin V, amoxicillin, and amoxicillin, which is combined with the clavulanic acid, are all available as a oral tablets or the capsules. And others are effective by the oral, IV, and the IM route. So other antibiotic can be given through the oral, intravenous, or the intramuscular route, depending on the what type of an infection. If it is a very severe infection or a septicemia, then you cannot wait for the oral route of antibiotic. You should go for the intravenous route. Or you need a sustained or release activity, then you have to go for the intramuscular. Or the infection is okay, it is only the upper respiratory infection, then you can even go for the oral route of administration. So depending on the severity of infection, and you can decide which route can be given. Then there are a lot of preparation also available as a depot form. Depot form is nothing but it's a sustain. So there will be like a depot type. Slowly the drug will be released in the blood so that it will show its activity. So basically, procaine penicillin G and the benzathine penicillin G. So these are administered through the intramuscular route, and they serve as a depot form. So the drug will be slowly released from this medication, and it maintains the proper plasma concentration, and hence it shows a longer duration of the antimicrobial activity. These are slowly absorbed into the circulation, and hence they shows the active concentration will not be so high. It maintains its own level, but it will be for a longer period. Then how these penicillins are absorbed? So most of these penicillins are incompletely absorbed. It is not 100% absorption after the oral administration, but they reach the small intestine in the sufficient amount. Means how much it is required to show the antimicrobial activity, that much concentration can reach the intestine in order to show the activity, and also they affect the composition of the intestinal flora. So in our small intestine, we do have some microbes which are good for our health. So these antibiotics, since they reaches the small intestine, they can also affect the good bacteria which are present in the intestinal flora. So hence, whenever we'll be taking antibiotics, doctors will ask us to take a lot of fruits, and it should be combined with the uh, vitamins, so that you can recover from the loss of good bacteria from the intestinal wall. Uh, Apart from all this, only the amoxicillin can be absorbed completely. Means whatever the dose we have taken as a amoxicillin, it will be absorbed completely into the blood circulation. And if you see, absorption of all the penicillinase resistant penicillins is decreased by the food in the stomach. So whenever there is a food, their absorption will be decreased because the gastric emptying time is lengthened. So whenever a food is there, the gastric emptying time also increases. So during that condition, the absorption will be delayed for these antibiotics, and also these drugs are destroyed by the gastric acid. So therefore, these penicillinase resistant penicillin should be administered 30 to 60 minutes before the meal. So when the meal is not there, when there is an empty stomach, during that condition, if you give these antibiotics, then the absorption will be good. Or you can also give this antibiotic after 2 to 3 hours of the food. That is 2 to 3 hours postprandial. Apart from the penicillin resistant penicillin, other penicillins are less affected by the food. So the food will not affect the absorption of the other penicillins. Only the penicillinase resistant penicillins, uh, they are decreased by the food, but other antibiotic can be given oral and it will not be affected by the presence of a food in the stomach. So this is with respect to the absorption. The remaining topics, that is distribution, all those things, so we'll study in the next class. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And this notes, whatever the protein synthesis inhibitor notes, I will share with you people. Please start reading. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay then. Thank you and have a good day. Yes, Arpita, tell me.